It seems like every day we hear the same story. A young teenager's been shot, killed, or arrested. Day by day the stories are getting older, but the victims are getting younger.
Yesterday, a 15-year-old schoolboy was found in his home near Clapham North. He'd been shot there.
A 15-year-old was suffering from gunshot wounds.
Murders of 3 teenagers in under 2 weeks is deeply has so far been arrested.
This teenager is the 7th to die violently this year.
Long sentences behind bars.
My street experience first began when I bumped into an old friend of mine who I hadn't seen for a very long time. He was an individual who was highly involved in gangs, drugs, you name it. But when I saw him, what immediately struck me about him was how much he had changed physically. And after speaking to him, I realized that he had a whole different aura about him. I think he could see that I was a bit down, stressed out, and that my mind was everywhere. So he invited me to play football with a few friends.
You can kick ball, innit? I remember from back in the days, man. Used to be a good baller. Come down and kick some ball with us, Aki. We're in kicking ball in AstroTurf.
We're just over there?
Yeah, Aki, man. Every Saturdays, you know what I mean? Kicking it nice, Aki, man. Enough brothers, good company.
Initially, I was very reluctant and was in two minds whether to go or not. But he kept on trying to persuade me, telling me that I had nothing to lose.
What you do, come down.
I thought about it and I said to myself, if he, coming from the walk of life that he came from, was able to change and reform his life, then maybe the people that he was calling me to play football with had some influence in that. So I agreed, and I said that I would go. Eventually, I decided to go down to the football. I knew that there would be brothers I wanted to see and others that I didn't. There was a brother down there who used to be big on the music scene. He told me how he'd left the game and how he'd escaped from a life of crime on the street. He advised me about ways in which I could leave that lifestyle alone and change it for one which was better. But at the end of the day, I had to start looking at myself.
Yeah, one of the biggest problems was, you know, like when you're out there on the roadside and you get bare young bucks coming out, right, you're hard, you're doing your thing, that mixtape was hard, and you hear man just spitting your bars and you feel like you're doing something, you know what I'm saying, and you're getting somewhere. So that there is hard to give up. When reality hits home, that you're going to die, and you're going to be accountable for what you said, and Allah's going to judge you, and certain men might even start blaming you on Yom Qiyamah, it was your fault why they done certain actions because they heard your music and it made them feel a certain way. Boy, it starts putting things in perspective, man. When you're just one up, no one ain't about you, you're just, it's you. You're the main man. When I die, Allah's going to judge me. Me. So next man around you, you realise, boy, you have to leave them alone, man, because it's all about you. Man's born one up, man will die one up. Obviously we believe in Allah and we say that we put our trust in Allah, but what Allah will do, Allah will give knowledge to those that used to be your old friends, to the point that they know what you're on, that to the point you check a man and a man will say to you, right, don't you have to pray now, Ak? They're not even Muslim and they're telling you don't you have to pray, because they know, they've got a little understanding of your deen and what you're upon, to the point that even when you're doing haram around the non-Muslims, they're onto you. The deen is a solution. You're trying to give them on the road solutions to what they're doing. So they need to see that the solution is working for you. Because if it ain't working for you, they're not going to try that solution. So you're telling them don't smoke, make sure you're not smoking. You're telling them don't rap, make sure you don't rap. So they want to see that what the solution's working for you. And then they know that inshallah maybe it can work for me. Let me try a thing.
Me and the brother clicked straight away and we spoke for quite a while. It was there he told me about street, what they do, and what they could do for me.
The name itself tells you that they're people of the street, or they were people of the street. They know about the street and they were once upon a time in the street. Now they've left it, but they might have ties in the street. And now they're trying to bring those that they've left behind out of the street. You know, this is something that they're really trying to do, because obviously we had friends and family that are in the street now, and we need to get them out of the street. You know, we're trying to save ourselves and our families from the fire. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the youths and those men that are still on the street, we're trying to give them some sort of timetable, some sort of schedule. Because you know a man needs a schedule. When you have a schedule, you know that at this time I'm doing this, at this time I'm doing that. You're not freestyling. Because one of the biggest things on the street is when you're on the road and you're chilling, you're just freestyling. You check them out, what's going on, what's man on? Oh, let's man go down there. Then you get there, what's man on? It's always what's man on. You ain't got no schedule, man. So what the street's trying to do, trying to give the youth schedules, man. They want them to be doing football at this time, maybe doing some boxing at this time, doing some Arabic at this time, doing some, you know, knowledge of Islam at this time. Just little bits, but they got timing around them. They get used to this schedule. So inshallah we get them into employment, and they're used to schedule, they're used to keeping time. Now this is one of the biggest things in employment. Employers want people that's, you know, on time. They got these skills, and to teach man on road this, you need to bring them in activities. So they're used to meeting their activities on time, used to being there on time. So when it comes to getting a job, they just flow in, inshallah. Employment facilities are there. We've got the brothers working that deal with work. We've got brothers that deal with training, college courses. You know, we're trying to get, and the same brothers that are doing these aspects, they also came from the street. So they know what sort of obstacles you're going to have, what sort of obstacles you're meeting, and they're trying to deal with that. So they're easy to speak to. You're not speaking to someone that's not been through it, or has, like, you know, you're just chatting to a man that don't know. You're thinking like, well, you don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know the life I live. No, these men have lived it, turned their lives around. So it's easy for you to chat to them still.
After speaking to the brother, you know, he gave me a lot of beneficial advice. And I knew that if I wanted to change, I would first have to look at myself and then the company I kept. The problem was that around my way, there were a few brothers that were still involved with things that they shouldn't have been involved with. And I knew if I continued hanging around with them, I would find myself in a situation that I wouldn't want to be in. I tried my best to stay away from people that I knew were bad company, but you can't hide forever.
Yo, I used to chat to you, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, what are you saying? Yeah, hear what I'm saying, though, man. Man's got something for you, know, still.
What's that? Some brothers listened to people who had twisted views and extreme opinions, saying it was okay to rob and steal from the non-Muslims, trying to use Islam to justify their crimes. That was a road I didn't want to go down.
Trust me, once you do one of those, you don't need to do nothing again for a long time.
Before, they knew what they were doing was wrong, and they were just following their desires. But now they found the excuses and the deviated speech of individuals who are just as ignorant as they are to justify their criminal behavior in the so-called name of Islam.
They're kafirs anyway, man. Their blood's halal, their money's halal, so what? What's the problem, man?
So what, just because they're non-Muslim, it makes their wealth halal?
Yeah.
You man got non-Muslim relatives? Yeah. So what, how about we get together and run up in your yard?
Run up in whose yard? What are you talking about?
Listen, just how you man don't want nobody to run up in your yard, another man don't want people to run up in his yards. If you want to follow your desires, you'll find any way you can to justify them. But you're only deceiving yourself. You man want me to go jail for you, man?
What do you mean go jail for us? Man's trying to get you paid out. This is mad money. Man needs to make some money out. What are you talking about?
Bro, ain't we supposed to be Muslims? You man are half-stepping.
What you talking about half-stepping? You trying to say man ain't Muslim? What?
We've had standoffs before. It's hard because on one hand, you want to advise them that they're heading down the path of destruction. On the other hand, you got to be careful concerning the company you keep. Look man, we're supposed to be brothers. For most people who do this, it's based on ignorance and desire. But once you go through it with them, it's clear for them to see that it's not from their religion. At the end of the day, my advice to you man is stop what you're doing and fear Allah. I told the brothers that I was trying to change myself and advised them to do the same. Living life on the street only ends in one of two ways. You're either going to end up dead or in jail. And I didn't want either of those. I started thinking about my future and how I was going to change, but I still needed money. The difference between £5 and £5 grand an hour isn't a tough decision for some people, but I decided to look for a job. I knew that Allah was watching me, and I began to become more aware of this. I tried everything. I looked for jobs online, in the papers, but couldn't find anything. I even decided to go down to the local job centre to see if they could help me find something, but nothing. I wasn't prepared to give up, and I knew it would be a long, uphill struggle. I thought a lot about the brother's advice from the football, and I stayed away from people that I knew would pull me back to the life that I was trying to leave. I then remembered what he said to me about street, and I knew they were the best people to get in touch with being in this situation. Eventually, I got the number for street. I contacted them, and they told me to come down to the HQ to see how they could help me.
Street can offer you a way to learn your religion. It can help you find work. It can help you establish a relationship with other brothers. That can also help you in your development. And also, inshallah, it's something which will help you guide you, you know, in regards to marriage and just giving you some confidence on the religion.
He told me more about street, went into more detail about the program and the courses that they provide, and also how they could benefit me in terms of my religion and my personal development. The HQ had a nice vibe. There was a lot to do there to keep you occupied, and it was a good place to relax and get away from the pressures of the streets. There were many people there, all trying to better themselves and benefit from the help and advice of others. It was good because you knew that everyone there had been in your position at some stage in their life. I thought about it, and I knew I had nothing to lose. I spoke to one of the staff and signed up to a training course. I started to put my head in the books. I was gaining more knowledge and insight into my religion. The more I learned, the more I wanted to know. I was also studying hard for my course. It felt good, and I could see light at the end of the tunnel. I finally got the results and I'd passed. So I contacted the brothers at street and they told me to come down. Alhamdulillah, they were able to offer me a job. It seemed as if all my hard work and effort had finally paid off. By tomorrow, if I check my email, then I can just, start sending out, reply emails to any of the things that were raised today. Yep, mashallah, he was leading the meeting. While it's not the same that everyone will be able to get a job working for street, they've helped me to change my life and reform my life for the better. Street was a tool for me to leave one lifestyle behind in exchange for another. The process of change has got to start somewhere, and that can only be with yourself.